Okay, so here we go. We are going through the New Testament in a year. We are in Mark chapter 5, the Gospel of Mark. And Mark likes the power. In each chapter, there's these power encounters that Jesus is greater than some power in every chapter. So, chapter 5, verse 1. When they went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes, you know what regions are like geographically? Well, this is the region of the Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. Now, this guy had been living in the graveyard. Something wrong with this guy. Something seriously wrong with this guy. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. He's out of control. He's got supernatural strength, it seems, or strong. No one could keep him down. Try to chain him up. Somehow he gets away, trying to confine him somehow. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. This guy's out of control. We know people out of control, don't we? Maybe we've been the one that's been out of control. Jesus can take out of control people, and Mark loves the power, and he can take people who are out of control and do something with them. Let's see what happens. No one was strong enough to subdue this guy. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. Cutting himself with stones, the guy's self-destructive. And there's an awful lot of self-destruction going on around us right now, fentanyl and drug addiction and people cutting themselves and suicide and just a desperate time then. This man is desperate. We have desperate people around us, and Jesus can help. And he would cry out, so you'd hear the guy all night long. You'd hear him screaming out. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and he fell on his knees in front of him, and he shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." He's demon-possessed. Demon possession is a reality. There are people who are demon-possessed. Remember the murderous son of Sam? He said that dogs used to talk to him and tell him who to murder. He confesses, his story is that he was demon-possessed. Come out of him. Come out of that man. Leave him alone. And then Jesus asked him, "What's your name?" And he said, "My name is Legion." He's probably talking to the guy, and instead the demons, the evil spirits, answer. "My name is Legion, for we are many." This guy's inhabited by devils. And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. There was a large herd of pigs feeding on the hillside nearby. Well, they weren't supposed to be eating pork. It was against their dietary restrictions, but they're there. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs, allow us to go into them." And he gave him permission. And the impure spirits came out and they went into the pigs, and the herd, about 2,000 of them in number, rushed down a steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Well, this shows you again the character and the nature of these demons. They look for bodies. They're disembodied spirits that are looking for a body, and they're destructive. They destroy human beings. They'll destroy pigs. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in town in the countryside, and the people went out to see what happened. What's going on? When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there dressed in his right mind, and they were afraid. Jesus can give you a right mind. That happened to me. I tell you what, my mind was shot. I don't have time to tell you all the story about what was going on with me, but I was gone. I was burnt. I was fried. I don't know to have a right mind now. But he was dressed in his right mind. And those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, and he told about the pigs as well. Then the people began to plead with Jesus, "Get out of here, get out of here." You see, the pigs were more valuable to the people than the man. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed, he begged him. He said, "I want to go with you," and Jesus didn't let him. He said, "Go home to your own people and tell how much the Lord has done for you and how he's had mercy on you. Go home." This is what Jesus does. He takes people who have been ostracized from family, ostracized from society, people who can't be controlled, people who are self-destructive. Jesus heals them and sends them back to their families. I love that. Verse 21, when Jesus again crossed over by boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him. Well, it seems that this particular account with this man is that Jesus went all the way across the lake just for this one man. Jesus would go all the way across the lake just for you. So he goes all the way across the lake, heals this man, and then he goes back again to the other side, goes back again. What he would do for you, what he would do for me. When Jesus had again crossed by boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him by the lake. Then one of the synagogue leaders, named Jairus, he came, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet, and he pleaded with him. He said, "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so she'll be healed and live." So Jesus went with him. My daughter is sick. A large crowd followed and pressed around him. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had, and yet instead of getting better, she was getting worse. Well, some of us know this. We've been going to the doctors for years, and it seems like they're giving us more and more stuff, and they're spending more and more money, and we're getting worse and worse and worse. Well, that was this lady's story. She has no place to go. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in a crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, if I can just touch his clothes, I'll be healed. Immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. Touching Jesus, the touch of Jesus, the presence of Jesus. And once Jesus realized power had gone out from him, and he turned around to the crowd and he said, "Who touched me? Who touched my clothes?" You see, and they said, "Do you see people crowding against you?" His disciples said, "And you want to know who touched you?" But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. And the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, trembling with fear. She thought maybe Jesus was mad at her. And she told him the whole truth. And he said, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." Go in peace. Jesus takes people who are sick, who are ill, who are distressed, who are mentally ill, who are self-destructive, heals them. While Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader, because that's where he's going. He's going to heal this little girl, Jairus, the synagogue leader. And they said, "Your daughter's dead. Why bother to teach her anymore? She's gone. It's too late." Overhearing what they said, Jesus told him, "Don't be afraid, just believe. Let's go." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion with people crying and wailing outside. The little girl was dead. What a tragic story. It's tragic anytime parents see their children die before them. Just such an awful thing. They're crying. He went in and he said to them, "Why all this commotion and wailing? The child's not dead, but asleep." Okay. But they laughed at him. Yeah, all right. After he put him out, he took the child's father and mother and his disciples who were with him, and he went into where the child was. He took her by the hand, and he said, "Talitha koam," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." Immediately the girl stood up, and she began to walk around. She was 12 years old. Wow. What a great story. Thank you, Jesus. And at this, they were completely astonished. Another Mark word, astonished. He likes those adjectives. He likes the verbs. He likes the power. Jesus gave strict orders to not let anyone know about this and told them to give her something to eat. Let her get on with her life now. And you don't have to go blasting this around. It's just something that God has done for you. So enjoy your family. Enjoy your life. Jesus is giving these people back to us, giving the girl back, giving the demoniac back to the community. Boy, oh boy, Jesus, the power of God. Hey, love you guys. We'll continue on with the book of Mark. It's a fun book to go through. It just goes so fast, account after account after account after account. Hey, love you guys. Let's continue on. New Testament in a year. Bless you.